but I wanted to introduce Tchaas Ari. He's the president and CEO of Communities and Schools in Charlotte-Mecklenburg. And we're really honored and thrilled to have Machias here today, not only to share about the great work that they're doing at communities and schools, but to share about how, from a nonprofit and grantee perspective, this has benefited their program. So, Machias, I'll throw to you. The floor is yours, but thanks for sharing today.
Great. Thank you, Andrew. And good afternoon, everyone. I'm really honored to have a chance to talk to you about what we do at communities and schools and also how we've been benefiting from the Impact Genomes Registry. So I will start just briefly. We participated in Impact Genomes Registry verification process this past spring. Our membership in Impact Genome and this whole process was sponsored by one of our grant funders. And, in the line of running a nonprofit, there are certain things that don't come across our radar. And this was very exciting when we had a grantor stop us and say, hey, we'd love for you to learn about this process. And what we're finding is that this grantor is really looking at getting more nonprofits to utilize this system to make their job and make the jobs of other grantors in our community a lot easier. And what I'll share after telling you a little bit about the work that we do in communities and schools is how this process really helped yield both internal and external benefits that we saw immediately after getting our report. And so communities and schools is a national movement for student success. We just had our national conference where all the leaders came together, and we celebrate the work that we're doing to really make a difference around championing educational equity. CIS is the largest provider of integrated student supports. We have a presence in 29 states. And this past year, we hit a milestone in serving more than 2 million students across the nation. Our mission is very simple. We want to surround students with a community of support to really empower them to not just stay in school, but we want them to succeed in life. And so answering the question that Andrew asked, are we making a difference? It really was important for us to find that out, not just from the data and the verifications that we gained being part of a national affiliate system, but it was very important for us to figure that out and hear that directly from an independent third party. In Charlotte-Mecklenburg, we have been doing this work for 40 years. So in North Carolina, there are 19 other communities and schools. We are the largest and we're the oldest. We serve 42, we're in 42 schools and we serve 4,000 students. And so again, really getting our arms around our impact, it was extremely important. And those of you who aren't familiar with the Charlotte landscape, we're nestled in the South. It's a little bit warmer than it is in Canada, Andrew. But we are in what I call a banker's town. Not only is it a banker's town, but there are nearly 4,000 additional nonprofits in our community. And so it's very important for us to figure out and really be able to articulate our value proposition. But what's most important is for our funders and folks in the community to look at our impact and really create an apples to apples comparison. And that's one of the things that the Impact Genome Report does for us. And the way our process works is we take full-time counselors and we put them in the schools. We call them site coordinators. And they're there in the schools every day to provide personalized, direct, consistent support to really help students overcome challenges. And what most people aren't aware of is that many of the challenges that students face, they happen outside of the classroom. It's a challenge around homelessness. It's a challenge around food security. It's a challenge of just how do you navigate living in poverty 9 times out of 10. And so we want to remove those barriers so that the students can really focus in school. Our model is evidence-based, and we focus on addressing barriers to success. We support primarily Title I or high poverty schools, and we focus on areas around chronic absenteeism, positive behavior, closing the academic achievement gaps, and really making sure that we provide students the critical needs that they may be lacking. And so once again, we wanted to make sure that we were making a difference. When I talk about Impact Genome, I say as a nonprofit leader, I would not be in business long if I did not have an annual financial audit that was done by an independent third party, right? We do our own resource, we do our own financial reports. I have a finance committee where I have lots of board members and volunteers who work for all of the major banks in our community. But that's not enough when it comes to really talking about our impact, when it talks about our financial solvency as an organization. I need to have an independent third party come and say, yes, Communities and Schools, Charlotte-Mecklenburg is financially sound. The same is true when it comes to programming. We certainly do a lot of scrutiny of our programming. We have independent verifications that we use internally. We get oversight from our national office as well as our local office. But it's something that adds just another layer of credibility when we can say that our data was independently verified by Impact Genome. And not only that, it is benchmarked with peers in our field. And so I often say that we now have not only a financial audit that we go through, but we have a programmatic audit that we go through as well. When we talk about our impact as an organization, some of the numbers that we share are the percentage of students who met their academic goals. So last year, 85% of our students met their independent academic goals and made progress towards that. 80% of them achieved their goals around attendance. If you recall, some of the areas we focus on is academic success. We focus on improved attendance, and we really want to focus on persistence in school. Again, we capture those metrics ourselves, but it was extremely powerful to get a report from Impact Genome that says you are doing what you're saying you're doing. And that was really, really gratifying. Really quickly, when it looked at our promotion rate, 99% of the students that we serve were promoted to the next grade level. And last year, we had 428 seniors graduate, which is 99% of the seniors that we serve. So I've kind of given you a bird's eye view of what we do at Communities and Schools. When I talk about our work, I often say that in society, we really like to reduce things to sound bites. And unfortunately, many of our students are a victim to that. They're reduced to their GPA, they're reduced to their test scores. And the work that we do in Communities and Schools, it actually allows us to see sort of what's happening behind the scenes. I often say a student who has a less than satisfactory grade or a less than satisfactory test score, that there's a story behind that. There's a challenge behind that. There is a barrier behind that. And our work is to identify that and to remove that. In addition to the Impact Genome verification that we received, our national affiliate worked with folks from Harvard, and they looked at 7 million student records across the nation. And what they found is that when CIS is present in their schools, the students achieve better grades, the students are present more, and what's most exciting is that they earn 20% more in their lifetime of salaries than their peers. And it's not just students who are in CIS case managed programs, but it's students who are in a campus where we have a presence. And so the Harvard study provided an overarching umbrella of a second party saying CIS longitudinally does great work. And Impact Genome came in and it looked at our individual affiliate and they verified our work there. So I want to talk just a little bit about what it meant to get an Impact Genome report. So the opportunity was really timely for us because, as I stated, we really wanted to verify our work in an independent way, independent from our affiliates. And while the affiliates know exactly what to look for and they know when you're sort of trying to game the system, so to speak, but Impact Genome only looked at what we said we're going to do. They were not looking at data that was collected to meet database requirements. As you heard Andrew say earlier, it's not about capturing outputs. Yes, outputs. It's really about capturing outcomes. And when our teams worked with the Impact Genome team, they asked questions that we hadn't considered before. They showed us data sets that we had analyzed in a different way. And what we found is that the story we were able to share was more robust and more complete. They allowed us to bring together multiple perspectives. Oftentimes when it's time to compile a report, you just bring the data people and the program people in a room, and then you get results from them. This process brought together cross sectors. We brought together our fundraisers. We brought together our data folks. And we really began to look at the data and our impact in a way that we hadn't done before. And quite frankly, this past year was challenging for us, as it is for many nonprofits across the nation. It was challenging due to loss of funding. And we as an organization had to make some hard decisions and actually reduce our staffing. And on the other side of our staff reduction and our organizational redesign, having a neutral party report, this Impact Genome Registry report, to say that CIS programs are efficacious, that we're meeting the model, it is just another verification that the reductions that we had to make were certainly financial in nature, and it had nothing to do with our project or our program delivery. It reaffirmed our impact on our mission critical areas like attendance and high school graduation. And again, it just allowed us to stand out a little bit more than our peers. And as you saw in the report, our efficacy rate showed that we were at 97% for our primary outcome, which is improving uh, attendance and persistence in school. And you also saw that the cost of program delivery was really in a range that was just slightly above what would be considered the floor for a program. And that's really remarkable considering that we are in an urban area. I think lastly, as I wrap up, it just gave us a different way to look at our programming. It gave us a different way to tell our story. It's important to be able to say that this was done by an independent organization that benchmarks us, that's in the business of looking at impact. And it really is a way to allow us to demonstrate the value of our evidence-based programming. It confirms what we have been capturing as an organization already. And I think in this time of uncertainty, in this time of increased financial pressures, I think it's really important for me as a nonprofit leader, to be able to stand on the data that we share and to stand on the fact that we have been independently verified. And it's very nice, and I want to thank the organizations who are considering this, and thank the organizations in our area who actually turned us onto this opportunity to really say that not only do we get a financial audit like every nonprofit, we are now amongst the nonprofits who also get a programmatic audit. And to answer Andrew's question, are we making a difference? Yes, we are. But you don't have to take my word for it. You can look at the report. Thank you.
And Tchaas, thank you for sharing your experience. I think it obviously your work speaks for itself, and the impact that you're making is really incredible. So we're grateful that you took the time to share your experience and how this has worked for you. We know that, I can